Okay, testing. All right. Hey guys. So welcome back to the live streams here at TrinFx. Um, so I'm just gonna take a quick overview of the charts right now, see what's going on in the market, and pretty much for the starting of the week thus far, we have a very lackluster market movement, so to speak. At least for me, with everything that I'm seeing currently right now, prices are just ranging. We had one or two shifts in sentiment back and forth and stuff like that. So really not much to say going on right now. But we'll still take a look at the chart, see what sort of setups we could have. I've been having a rough week thus far. Um, but we push on forward. Not really expecting too much, really, and I'm really managing risk at the moment right now because we do have low volume situations. So after we do have change in sessions where we could expect volume to come into the market, it does start a sort of range at some point, right? So all of that is something that is key to pay attention to as well as you're trading this week, and if you're planning to trade for the rest of the year, which would be the rest of this month and also December, right? Really can't expect too much, ask too much from the markets, really. So it's all it's all about balancing right now. So taking a look at what we have coming up in terms of news event, we do have CPI data tomorrow for the US dollar. So that is something we should pay attention to. We are expecting the consensus to be higher than the previous. So we could expect to see some US dollar rallying after the major fall that we saw on the DXY. If we just take a look here, the DXY did fall pretty heavily yesterday and even last week, right? So we saw this massive fall all the way down to this major support area. If we're looking at the daily time frame, right? So price is basically right into this range right now. On the DXY, really the dollar is having sort of a more bearish tone in the past previous days. But we could expect the overall continuation with the overall trend that we are seeing, right? So the US dollar is in a very bi curious place right now, right? So looking at the 4 hour and the 1 hour, right? If we want to see the US dollar gain or rally, we want to see price actually maintain this level of support right here and continue pushing from this area, right? So we want to see this candle, this bear candle, actually being filled by the other candles forming here, and then once we do see price actually pass maybe around above this level right here, then we could expect a continuation higher, right? So that is something I think we should pay attention to coming with the CPI data. If numbers are good, this should give the US dollar a little rally, and we should see price actually push and maintain this support level. Alright, and once we do get that push above, we could expect price to actually come within like these levels right here before the week ends and possibly get on some US dollar longs. Looking at the 1 hour, same thing, right? So we push heavily into the support level, right? We start seeing price actually maintain it a little bit after pushing past that. We see price coming back in. So if we could get that push and clear all this bearishness here, then yeah, those continuations for the US dollar longs does seem more probable, or something that we could actually potentially get a trade on. Um, so yeah, CPI data, we have inflation rate data as well, and also some jobless claims as well. So we do have a lot of USD news tomorrow. So looking forward to see what we could expect, what we could get out of those news movements, right? So we could possibly see some US dollar longs happening there, some rallying. And also on the Friday, we do actually have some ECB and some GBP news, GDP news for the pound, as well as yeah, we have balance of trade. So really, the more important news to pay attention to is that GDP growth, right? So looking at the third quarter here, we are expecting negative numbers, right? Compared to the previous, we are expecting negative 0.5%. So not too good for the GDP. Could actually look for some some bearishness from the pound coming into Friday, right? So Friday market close, we could possibly get into some short side bias on pound pairs. So that is something that we could also pay attention to. I am in a pound trade right now. that being this right here, GP, JPY, price is coming back into that support level here. I mean that resistance level, sorry. And I'm looking for overall continuous movement back downwards, but looking at how price is pulling into this level, if we don't actually get a full-on rejection from here, then we may get a full retest back up into this level, right? And this was a riskier trade I was willing to take just with the overall bearishness we had happen over the London session, right? So I'm expecting sort of a continuation with that movement as well as NYC volume to actually help push price lower. But if we do start clearing this area right here and we push bullish, we could possibly see a full-on retest of this the previous broken support, right? So that's something to pay attention to. You could possibly get into this for GP, JPY, short side, for a sell setup. And that's basically all that I'm seeing in the market would take in right now. Looking at the other pairs, I am interested in the AD, and the NCD pairs right now. Um, Overall market sentiment has been sort of a shifty, right? Last week we had bullish, good sentiment, right? Price did move to the upside. We did see a lot of the risk currency assets basically pick up pace. But this week, moving into this week, it has been sort of shifty. At the beginning of the week, we did see an overall bullishness. But now, as we look into today, we do see some bearishness kicking in. So market sentiment concerning risk on, risk off, or whatever the case is, it has been sort of very in a very weird place, right? And again, we can't really expect too much because of how everything is going on right now. We are in a low volume situation, and something that I think a lot of traders forget is really we are in November, right? This is the fourth quarter of the year. We can't really expect much, especially given how everything is, the state of the economy right now. We can't really expect much movement from the market, so we shouldn't force trades, and we should also maintain a certain level amount of risk for the trades that we do take, because those trades we have no sort of clear consensus that those trades will actually play out in our favor, especially if we are in a low volume situation. So that is something I think a lot of traders don't take into consideration when they do trade for the November, December months, um, as well as understanding the global fundamentals, which is the economy being in a very dismal sort of state, right? So we should really pay attention to those economic factors when it comes to when we trade in during the fourth quarter. So I am expecting to see again the US dollar rally tomorrow. That news event that we do have coming out is around, let's see, we have that coming out at 9:30, right? 9:30 in the morning. So we could expect to see some rallying. Looking at the AD USD, what I like to see right here is price possibly push past this support level area that's created, right, in this overall sort of a uptrend sort of situation that we have, right? If we're looking at the recent time frame here on the 4 hour, right, we can see that price have this sort of short-term bullish movement, right? Overall, if we're looking at the daily time frame, however, we can see that we're coming back into a zone of importance within the overall downtrend. So if price maintains this zone, then we do have a high probability of actually filling out this sort of range on the daily time frame that we do have, right? So that is something that we could actually potentially get a trade on. Looking at the 4 hour for a more clear consensus or more added confluence, what you like to see is possibly a break below this sort of support area right here, right? So you can see the recent bullishness. All of that is happening right here, right? This is the recent bullishness, right? As price pushed up, this is this is the area that we are paying attention to, right? So with that being said, if we do actually get a close below this support level right here, then I think we have a higher chance of seeing price actually push lower, especially with the US news, the CPI data that is to come out tomorrow in play. We should see that as a catalyst to continue seeing US dollar long, so a recovery in US dollar on the short term of everything, right? So I think this potentially has a lot of it has a lot of potential to actually play out as a sell setup on the AD USD trade. So this is something that I think would actually be pretty, yeah, it would be pretty good to possibly see a sort of that sort of movement to the downside, right? If we could break out of this overall uptrend, and then we have this break of the support level right here, then yeah, those continuations seems highly likely to me, right? At least at a reasonable level, probably take it for 1 to 3 or something like that. I want to extend it all the way out here just because market sentiment has been known to be shifting recently, and of course we do have low volume, so you wouldn't expect price to dive all the way down immediately without multiple catalysts in line to help the US dollar push lower. So I think around, like, let's say we do see that sort of those sort of confluences come, then putting on stops right above here, and yeah, possibly targeting right around here. It seems like, the best possible trade setup for me, right? So this is something that I think has a lot of potential to actually play out, and we'll actually see, right? So if we do get that close below here, then I think, yeah, entering this for a short term sell opportunity would be pretty great. Looking at the other pairs, really not much happening, right? Let me just take a look at what we got going on in chat. Really not much happening. Looking at the other pairs, right? Just because of that low volume situation. I want to take a look at gold and the other indices that we do have, right? So gold has rallied pretty strongly, right? We can see that from here, the third, right? Just the third actually, and we are the ninth, right? So from the third here, we saw that gold rallied pretty strongly to the upside. Looking at the daily time frame, right, we can see overall we do have this bearish sort of movement, right? Over the past couple of months, gold has been moving bearish, and recently we come back into this area of support slash resistance, right? So this major area of resistance is where we rejected from multiple times. First we had this push lower here, then we had the retest, price pulled up a little bit, but then we saw that continuation of this resistance area being maintained, right? So moving forward, for the rest of this month as well as December month, we could actually see gold just continue ranging, just because overall on the fundamental data as well as the technicals, we don't have much going on with the fundamentals, right? And the US dollar is in a very curious place. So looking moving forward, right, we can't really say for certainty whether we're going to see US dollar weakening and then this just continues moving up higher, or if price is just going to, that US dollar strength is going to maintain overall, right? Because the Fed is still pretty hawkish. So we could see the US dollar rally continuously back and forth like this, especially when we do pull into major zones of importance, right? So overall, I think the better play is to actually see this zone filled out long term. However, short term, and when we are looking to enter trades on the 1 hour, 4 hour, whatever the case is, whatever time frame you do use, I think it's best to actually see maybe price actually pull lower, right? If we pull lower away from this zone, then yeah, sure, we could continue back downwards and actually fill out the entire zone. However, looking at recent candles, what we could see is this sort of consolidation, right? Sort of a kind of hesitation right now. Gold doesn't know whether to move up or down, whatever the case, what it should be doing right now, right? So once we do have a break out of this sort of consolidation, then we are more likely to see a continuation in whatever direction we do see, right? So if price does break lower, maybe this will happen with the CPI news, then we could continue possibly seeing a sell to the downside, right? Vice versa, if price breaks upwards, then we could wait for that CPI news because we do expect it to be bullish, right? So price may come back and retest the recent move higher, and then that would be a possible long entry point to actually continue this longs, right? Because we already broke out of this area. At this point, we're looking to look for the retest, right? We're looking at areas where we could possibly enter, and that is where my market psychology comes in, and what we could expect, the market makers, the movers of the market, to actually be doing as well, right? Instead of just taking that as a sell opportunity to drive price lower, right? They might use that as a rebound area to continue with the longs, right? Especially with the overall market movement that we already are seeing from gold. So that is something I think you should pay attention to. And if price does actually push up and we get that retest here, then if you're looking to short, you want to see price actually pull back deeper into the zone, right? And therefore that would give more of a confirmation that sellers are more heavily invested in gold rather than the buyers, and then that continuation seems more probable back to the downside. So hopefully that makes sense, right? If not, you could just replay this and just get a better understanding of it. But thus far, I think that's like the best possible setup for here on gold as well, right? Um, Looking to continue forward, yeah, just the U.S. dollar, the U.S. currency cross pairs. Those are the ones that really may possibly give the better play right now. Looking at the GP/JPY, right? So you see, price actually came up above my zone here, right? So I got stopped out of this trade here. All right, I think I risk around 1.5% on this. So price actually pulled higher. So this could be the movement for a possible retest all above this area right here. Looking at 30 minutes, this candle still has some more room to go. So I won't actually look to take a trade on this candle right now until we get a close. If I do look to re-enter the trade, looking at the 1 hour, we could possibly compete back to this area, right? So we could possibly fall back up into this area. So right now it's in a curious place. I'm not gonna take any more trades on this, to be honest with you guys. All right. Um, and this has just been markets for me for this week, right? Just back and forth with sentiment, as well as the trades themselves just working back and forth on me. So I'm not um I'm not too I'm not too bummed about it, right? I'm not too pleased about it either. But this is just something you have to expect happening once or twice within your trading plan, right? Um, Moving forward, looking at the indices, right? Looking at like NAS and the US 30. NAS and US 30 both do have similar movements. Overall, we could see that we did have that bullishness. Looking at the daily time frame, you might see this a little bit more clear. Let me just remove these levels, right? So looking at the recent days, which will be like for this week thus far, right? We see that price is very bullish, right? Looking at the overall movement since October, we can see that price has been moving very bullishly to the upside. Again, with that US dollar weakness, we just seen a lot of back and forth, right, between the US dollar and what the indices are doing. Now it is rallying off of that US dollar weakness. Continuing looking forward, we could possibly see the indices continue moving higher, right? We could see more bullishness from this, especially with the recent market price action. So I'm not too keen on looking for sells on this, right? I don't really trade indices, but overall looking at it, yeah, sells don't look like the best moves right here, right? So overall, we could expect to see more of a bullish continuation, right? As price you approach this area, we could use that as a possible retest to continue moving higher. If price does break, then I would say still wait for a possible retest, maybe around this area here being one. Let me just delete this. Maybe this area being one, even if it pulls lower here as well, being an area to possible take that retest back up, right? Again, the US dollar is in a very curious place, so I don't think sells with the USD strength would be the best move right now for the indices, just because overall we've been seeing that bullishness, right? We've seen multiple times sells try to step in um, and failed, right? They failed to continue that movement downwards. Price always got corrected, and then we got a continuation back upwards, right? Even here, price pulled down, we wake back up, right? So at this point here, people will possibly try start to take impulse sells, right? Looking for price to continue moving downwards, wick backed up, and then we started to consolidate sort of range right here, right? So continuing forward, I think the indices you should wait. You should wait to see the play out, right? This week and this month really has been a very rough month, at least for me. I can speak for myself alone. Um, in terms of the trading, yeah, this week just complete utter trash. I'm not even gonna lie. Um, and well, continuing forward, I may probably just trade next week and call that for the year. Because it's really not much happening in the market right now. We basically set it up for 2023, right? With all the news that we do have coming out, we would see that being used as a catalyst to see price movements working back and forth or whatever the case is. But in terms of long-term movements, I don't think right now is the best possible, the best conditions to see that, right? So that's all that I basically have for you guys today, right? This wasn't a very long stream. I'm just highlighting certain stuff going on. There's not really much to look for in terms of possibly getting entries and stuff like that. Um, Probably the best time to do that is between the London and New York session when we do have that change and we see that sort of volume just kicking in for that moment, right? So yeah, that's it. Not really much to discuss or to say. I actually look, we see in 80 USD here actually pulling lower, right? So this could be the continuation that we get once price breaks below here. Um, that does seem probable, right? So continuing forward, yeah, this looks like one of the trades that would play out for us, right? I'm not gonna enter it though, so yeah, just looking, we do have 39 minutes remaining, right? So this could also wick all the way back up, right? So if this actually does close out of that area, then yeah, those cells does look more probable, right? So if anybody that's watching this, want to get into a trade, then this looks like the trade for you. um but that's it, right? That's it, guys. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the stream, whatever the case is, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll actually come and see what's going on for the CPI, what sort of movement we do get, and if we could get a possible trade as well. All right. So thanks for joining, guys. I do hope that everybody does have a great trading week. And yeah, just gonna continue moving forward with everything that we're given and continue trading as normal.